I've been in your waters. I know I can for sure. I've never been so close before. It's one way or the other.
Hi guys, and welcome to Removed Before Launch. Yes, I've managed to get hold of another car, and this beauty is the new M2 Competition. Well, I say new, this one's new. If you watched my video about my long-term 135 a couple of videos ago, I was talking about what to upgrade to, and this is a serious contender for that. The M2's been around a little while, but this is the Competition. This is they obviously tweaked and changed it and fettled it, put in the M4 or / M3 engine. So many would argue this was the engine that should have always gone in here. So this is the 3-litre twin turbo, pumping out about 404 brake, down by about 40 odd brake from the M4 and a bit further from the M4 Competition. Shame they didn't put in the same amount of power, but I suppose they were always going to, they would never wanted it to be better than its big brother, as it were. But for me, the M2's always been the right fix. I just think it's the right size. I think the M3s, 4s have got just a little bit too big now. So how it feels on the road, really nice. It has got this kind of firm feeling. It is, you can tell it's planted, it's quite taut, but not uncomfortably so. So you can feel the bumps, but the way the suspension and everything else has been set up, it does soak it up. So it doesn't get too unsettled, it doesn't get too uncomfortable. It's quite a nice balance basically between knowing that you've got a car that's properly sorted without ruining it and becoming too extreme. Just to cruise in, really comfy. Found it, haven't had a huge amount of time in it, but very comfortable. The seats I think are a big part of that as well. Just really comfortable seats. It's got some pretty wide rubber on it, and some pretty narrow rubber as well. No, hang on, that's completely contradictory. So wide width, narrow wall, that's what I meant. So obviously, you know, twisty B roads, potholes, this, that and the other, you can feel them, but not crashy. It's not crashy, which is nice. And I found that these are obviously not run flats again, so BMW, the M division, have had the sense not to put run flats on these things, which is good news. Steering wise, nice, really nicely weighted. I think it's pretty accurate. I've driven it more accurate, I'm not going to lie, but it's pretty good. As I said, you've got the steering adjustment setting as well. I personally don't see huge differences, or don't feel huge differences in it. Yeah, I'm sort of going through the selection now, and I don't know. I'm usually leaving it in sport mode. I'm sure on track you would maybe notice a slight difference again. We'll touch on that in a bit, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice. You know where it's going. You know where you're pointing the nose. It's got a lot of grip as well, so you can kind of just lean on it. And it's actually, I think, lean on it a lot more than I have been. Again, while I'm learning the car, I don't think I'm pushing it anywhere near to the limits that you could. Gearbox, as I said, is very good. So I'll put it over again. This is now in manual mode. It's a 7-speed gearbox. It just literally, honestly, doesn't feel like it's changing gear. It doesn't feel like anything's happening. It's probably the closest I've had so far to a gearbox that almost seems like seamless, which I can only imagine what it's a little bit like driving a Tesla or something. on that subject, the performance. Again, it's one of these cars that's really growing on me quite rapidly. So, got in yesterday, mainly left it in auto for the first hour or so, just to get used to everything. And I was like, okay, this is, it's another 100 brake on my car, and it's newer tech and this and that, and it's a far newer car, so you're going to expect it to have a few more ponies. But yeah, is it that much better? And it was kind of like, yeah, it's better, but it wasn't blowing me away. It has to be said. I think it's a little bit more cosseted. It's a newer car. It's a bigger car. It's just a little bit. There's a little bit more rawness to the 135 just because of its age and everything else. But yeah, I wasn't like, wow, this is just such an epic difference. And then I switched it into manual control, and then I started to play around with it a little bit more, and now I've realised that the car basically pulls like a bloody steam train. It's pretty impressive, it has to be said. It really is. It's 400 brake, but I don't know, when it gets going with this box and everything else, it just feels impressive. I mean, really impressive. And it's got a nice engine note to it. Is it as good as I'd like? No, definitely not. I don't know as well if part of the engine note, when I change things on the mapping setting, and there's definitely it's a bit more audible, but I've got a feeling that's more to do with potential speaker input or some other ducting rather than the exhaust itself. Now, that would be my definite immediate criteria change would be, if BMW do it, then it's to put a BMW sports exhaust on, or if not, definitely an aftermarket exhaust, because the car sounds nice, but it doesn't sound as good as it should. Talking to the guy yesterday, they were saying that basically, because of the EU regs on noise and this, that and the other, it's now becoming harder and harder for manufacturers to give you nice, audible exhausts. Make of that what you will. I know on the previous one you had the switchable system, and supposedly you weren't supposed to run it on its loudest setting on normal road conditions. Bear with me, just overtaking. As a prime example of the car basically going very well. Yeah, I mean that was a prime example there. You got a very slow moving vehicle, and the car notches down a couple of cogs, and yeah, that's got some serious pull. And I always know it's a quick car when you get the old neck muscles twinging quite vigorously, and that's some serious performance. Yeah, that sums it up basically. That overtake there just sums up everything about the car and its performance. Absolutely epic on that front, and it does pull like a bloody train. And it's impressive for what is still deemed as quite a small entry-level BMW. Not very entry-level as far as I'm concerned.
2 hours later.
Okay, so this, as I said, the video, the way I'm throwing it together is not ideal at the moment, so I'm jumping all over the place and freezing, as always. Although the sun's out now, which is quite nice. But the roads are still damp, so proving tricky to get any power down. But like, I've just driven this car for another couple of hours, and it's growing on me rapidly. The car is ridiculously quick. I mean, well, when you're not trying to wade through puddles and shit. No, the car is ridiculously quick. I mean, it's epic. Interesting, the gearbox as you've got it up into sort of the most extreme mode, and I've turned the settings up here between Sport and Sport Plus on the mapping, it does get a little bit more aggressive, not uncomfortably so at all, but you can feel it's shunting in a little bit more rigorously, as it were. But it just adds to the whole thing. It's brilliant, and the gear changes up, the gear changes down, so you can feel it kind of thudding in on the change up when you're really pressing on, and on the way down as well. It's sort of matching the revs. It's just kind of doing it all for you, which is what I was touching on earlier. Is you're never going to beat it in a manual. Now, yep, you get more involvement in a manual in some respects, but I don't know, these gearboxes are getting so good, and if I was doing a lot of track work, I just think it would be a no-brainer. I see these cars herring past me in the M3 now, and you can understand why. Not just the power, but the slickness of the gear change in that, and the fact that you can be crashing up and down the gearbox with no real concerns about clutch control, about metering the revs out, nothing. Just hammer through, even mid-corner if you want. It's just, I can see where the significant performance improvements are. But yeah, a couple of things. The brakes on this are really strong, really solid. They're the standard ones, so they're not upgraded, but they're still very, very powerful, very quick. Almost actually caught me by surprise a little bit initially, because I was literally almost through the windscreen sort of thing. But now I'm getting used to them. They're good, nicely measured out. Maybe a tiny bit sharp. There's not much travel in the pedal before it's already you've got them, so I would personally like a little bit more play, but at least the brakes are there, and when you are on it again, actually I'd rather have that. It's a little bit more reassuring. So yeah, all good. Can't vouch for what the upgraded brakes are like. Now, this takes me on to the other subject, and this is where it gets very interesting, because, bear with, tricky junction. Yeah, this is where it gets very interesting, because I was talking to the guy about the potential of a brake upgrade and some other bits and pieces, because there's obviously all this extra kit that is really targeted towards track days and track driving, because at the end of the day it's an M car, so it's kind of where you'd like to think you'll see them, and if you go over to Germany and the Ring and everything else, that's where you see all of them generally. So I found it mildly interesting when it turns out that if you were to take this car on track, even virtually near a track, if it farts near a track, you invalidate the warranty. It's an M car. It's got the option to upgrade 6-pot huge stopping power brakes. They've got other cars out there that you've got the option for carbon brakes. I stood there kind of bewildered with the guy, because one of my things was potentially selling the track car and the 135 and then buying this and doing the occasional track day. And yet he is adamant that they will plug it into the computer and they will know that you've been on a track, which is not difficult because of geolocation and the way you drive and everything else. Big Brother kicking in as always. And they will be able to monitor and know whether you have or haven't been on track. And if you have, that's it. Gone. No warranty. I'm still baffled. I don't know. I'd love some feedback if anyone else knows any different, but this was from the man selling the BMW, and he was adamant that was the case, and he wasn't being funny about it. He agreed with us. He personally thinks you should be taken on track. If you're going to sell a customer uprated brakes or carbon brakes, then surely you should want the customer to take it on track. But no, that's the BMW stance, or at least BMW UK from what I understand. Anyone know any different? Please tell me, put a note in the comments or whatever, because I'd love to know or have feedback of anyone who's taken it on track and knows different. But that aside, and my slight annoyance at BMW for that, they still know how to build a car. So all you have to do is wait for it to be out of warranty and then put it on track. But no, it's look guys, it's been, I was a little bit two minds. It's all right. Yeah, it's not bad. Oh, it's not that great. Oh, the marked improvement isn't that marked. No, waffle. And it's only on the second day of having it within a 24-hour period, and my mind is changing dramatically. And it seems to be one of these cars that the more you press on, the more interesting it gets. Now, I haven't taken it to the extreme. I know there's other car reviewers that say it can get a little bit out of shape. I'm not doing that. As I said, this ain't my car, so I'm not going to take the P. But it's epic. It's massive smile on your face for what it is cost-wise in comparison to what else is out there. I still think it's a lot of money, but then that's just the way I think. But with this kit on it, I think it's got a couple of the comfort packs. It's about 56,000. It's a lot of performance. It's a lot of car. It handles brilliantly. It goes, it stops. It does put a smile on your face, and it behaves itself to the point where you could just soak up the miles in this. Absolutely. I'd have no problems doing a tour around Europe in this whatsoever. And then, you know, to then hit your favourite B roads or go for a proper thrash, it's pretty epic. Just a brilliant package, and I don't see why you'd want another M car. And that's nothing against the other M cars, because I love pretty much what BMW are churning out now. So I like the 4 Series, the 3 Series, the you know, even the X cars that are coming out. Okay, a bit overkill and a bit pointless in my mind, but still would love one. But this is, you know, just epic and just a beast of a car. And I just think the perfect size and combo. So the only reason I'd go bigger is if there was literally, I need that extra space. Now, my only concern now is though, and actually funnily just have one in my rear view mirror, is the new 1 Series. I'm not sure about this, and this may be even more of a reason to buy an M2, because you're not going to have this car again, is my fear. I don't see, I know the new 135 is, you've got the 4-wheel drive system, you know, it's chucking out a lot of power for a small capacity engine, and I'd like to drive one compared to my 135, but I fear that they're going to lose the magic that they've got in this car. And if they do, that's a real shame, because this car is something special. But anyway, quick review. Sorry I couldn't do a more thorough review. I've had it 24 hours. The weather's been shocking, and I'm going to make every excuse I can for a poor video. No, I've really enjoyed it. I can see why someone would buy one, you know, without a doubt, and I can see why someone would buy this over a lot of other cars out there, because this really is, when you look at the price tag, I think a bit of a performance car bargain in the grand scheme of things. Now, I know we're looking at 50 plus grand, which is still a lot of money, and you know, but taking it relatively compared to the rest of the car industry and what everybody else is producing, this is more than your hot hatch. And when you're getting hot hatches almost getting towards these sort of figures, this feels so much more than that. Obviously, I will wait to see if I can get my hands on an AMG A45. But yeah, this just seems really special. And I could see how you'd live with this for quite some time. But yeah, that's it. Let me know your thoughts. Give us some feedback. Hope you enjoyed the quick video. I would like, and I'm going to try and attempt to either buy one or get one for longer, and then I'll do a more thorough review. But I hope you enjoyed it. This has been removed before launch. Please give us a subscribe or some comments or a like or whatever. With the 3 people that seem to be liking it so far, probably not enough to manage to wangle any cars out of any manufacturers. But no, really appreciate all the guys and girls that are out there that are supporting me. Thank you very much. Very early days. I really need your support if we can get it. and any feedback as well as to what you think to the video, what you'd like to see, and also anyone out there who's got some interesting cars who wants to shoot some videos, let me know, because I'd really like to start putting some more content together. Thanks very much.